Time now, 6:13. Let's check your weather here with Thomas. You know, we warned everyone about the flooding that would be coming from all that heat yesterday. I'm surprised at how much we're seeing so far.
Yeah, so every single county basically along the Wasatch Front has seen at least one report of flooding. So in Utah County, we had SR 73 a couple days had to close because of that enhanced runoff. Emigration Creek in Salt Lake City, especially towards the Sugar House area. We've seen that flooding there in Davis County, the Kaysville incident, especially with that sinkhole, and then in Weber County in North Ogden had some flooding there as well.
So are we going to get any relief with the temperatures cooling off?
Yes, so we're actually seeing that relief moving in right now because a cold front is now working its way into the northern portion of the state. We've already dropped to 45 degrees in Salt Lake City. Earlier this morning, we were sitting with temperatures in the 50s. So that cooler air is making its presence known. We're sitting at 48 degrees in Provo, but we're sitting at 32 degrees in Logan. It's going to take a little while longer for that cold front to reach its way down into southern and in eastern Utah, but by this afternoon, we'll see cooler temperatures across the board. And for today in northern Utah, we'll be about 15 to 20 degrees cooler compared to what we saw yesterday. Meanwhile, in southern Utah, we'll be about 10 to 15 degrees cooler compared to yesterday. Because we're at the freezing mark in Logan, and wet weather is moving in, we're actually seeing straight sloppy snow. The road for the most part looking okay out in Logan because of how warm it's been recently, but those roads are now running wet around Cache Valley. But as you can see on this roof right here and towards these grassy surfaces, we're beginning to see a little bit of accumulation because that temperature again has dropped to the freezing mark in Logan. So as we go throughout this morning, that band of moisture is going to be working its way from west to east right now, stretching from the northwest desert through Cache County. But you can see this moisture working its way in the direction of the Wasatch Front, which means for the most part, roads along the Wasatch Front are looking good. As we go throughout the next couple of hours, they're likely going to start to run wet. So if you're planning out your early morning commute, keep in mind you could find some wet streets out there this morning. So the cold front finally beginning to get some momentum as it's being driven now by this upper level low pressure that we talked about yesterday. So this trough coming in from the Pacific Northwest, that's helping bring those showers, and eventually we'll see that cold front make its way into the southeastern portion of the state. One bit of good news with this cold front is that the risk for flooding will be going down. We still have that flood warning for Emigration Creek that continues through midday today, but we're already beginning to see the water level begin to drop because of that cooler air working its way in. But again, as that flood warning remains in effect, you need to be very mindful of that. The avalanche warning, that has since gone away in northern Utah, including the mountains and the foothills. However, that doesn't mean that the avalanche danger has gone away completely. As of right now, still high avalanche danger. That's likely going to go to considerable, but still you probably want to avoid the backcountry just because as we add a little bit more snow, as this system will bring mountain snow, we could still see unstable layers up in the mountains, especially in the backcountry. In southeastern Utah, things are relatively calm and it's mild. A beautiful start to the morning at Red Cliffs Lodge in Moab. But let's go ahead and begin the futurecast and time things out for you as we go through today. So you'll see by 9 o'clock this morning a pretty decent chance for showers along the Wasatch Front, mainly going to be valley rain and mountain snow. However, with that colder air moving in, we could see some spots that do see some straight snow with the temperatures, how warm they've been recently. Not expecting too many impacts out on the roadways other than them running wet. But if you get to the benches, into the canyons, we definitely could see some road slush out there. But as we go from this morning into the afternoon, as the cold front moves into the eastern portion of the state, it'll take the moisture along with it. So by this afternoon, calming conditions in northern Utah, still a decent amount of wet weather in the eastern portion of the state, looking mostly calm into tonight, going to be turning chilly. And then with some trailing moisture arriving for tomorrow, we could see maybe just a few isolated showers in the northern portion of the state. Temperatures will be below our seasonal averages, but high pressure will begin to set up shop once again going into this weekend. And with more of a southerly flow, those temperatures will begin to warm back up throughout this weekend. But as we zoom things in here when it comes to the futurecast accumulation, again, not expecting much in our valleys and for the mountains for that most part. But for the mountains, we could see over a couple of inches of snow in those typically colder valleys like in Cache Valley. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of inches of snow as well. In St. George, we'll see a daytime high in the lower 70s for today, which is very seasonal for this time of year. It will be a bit windy, but for our Friday, temperatures come down just a little bit more. Overnight lows the next couple of nights will be in the 40s, but with that high pressure this weekend, temperatures will go from the 70s back into the 80s before another little bit of a cool down arrives by the middle of next week. Then along the Wasatch Front, chance of rain and snow showers are the best chance early today, an isolated chance on Friday. Temperatures will gradually warm as we go throughout this weekend. We should be back in the low 70s by Sunday into Monday before another system could bring another brief cool down going into the middle of next week.